Well, the Broncos' run game in 2024 was, for lack of better words, absolute dog shit, as we all know that. And there's a lot of different factors that go into it, but there seems to be a split opinion on, in Broncos country about who's to blame and is it really all on the running backs and was the O-line not as good as everybody says that it was. So we're going to break down, we're going to talk about exactly all that. And we're going to talk about why one of the priorities that the Broncos should make this upcoming offseason is to fix the run game and turn it from being extremely inefficient to being very efficient. So, guys, if you love Broncos news and if you love the NFL draft, we got a lot of great NFL draft content coming up on this channel as well. It'll really help me out if y'all hit that subscribe button, like the video. Thanks, guys, in advance for tuning in. So let's talk about it, guys. The Broncos last year, the offense was up and down in many different ways, right? I think that a lot of it was very positive overall because we collectively, well, not even say collectively, there's still a lot of haters out there, but we have our franchise quarterback. We've got a guy that we can clearly build this team around, and we can feel very confident that he's going to be putting us in a position to win week in and week out, especially as he gets better in the man, the myth, and the legend, Mr. Bo Nix. We know that. We didn't do him a lot of favors. I wouldn't say we didn't do him a lot of favors. He didn't have a lot of talent around him in the passing game, but also especially in the run game. A run game more than anything is a quarterback's best friend, and he just didn't really have a big semblance of one. And it was one of the big reasons why I don't know if we led the league, but it seemed like we led the league in 3 and outs. We consistently just could not get drives going. We were consistently inconsistent when it comes to offensive efficiency and overall operations. And a big part of that is because there wasn't really a run game to be able to lean on, especially in those games where you kind of have to grind out some clock. You wanted to really be able to take control of the games. We gave it up. And it was really evident in the final month of the season, right? We ended up losing those back-to-back games to the Chargers and to the Bengals. Those ones I really think it shined through in terms of what an inefficient running game can do because it just forces you to get into some sort of a shootout. Our quarterback did a great job of doing that, but ultimately it was just way too much to overcome on all fronts. And then it obviously turned its ugly head again in the playoff game. Here's a couple of things that's really important to know. And I don't know how you guys feel about pass blocking win rates or run blocking win rates and what kind of value you put on those types of grading scales. But for what it's worth, the Broncos offensive line was first in the NFL in pass block win rate. And that translated because I felt like consistently clean pocket. Bo Nix was not sacked very much. He also did a really good job of getting the ball out of his hands too. But the Broncos running game was also first in run block win rate as well, as crazy as that sounds. So the offensive line was not an issue. And it's funny because I still see a lot of people in my comments all the time that are like, no, it's not just it's not just the run game. Like, we'll be fine with the guys that we have. We need to draft some offensive linemen in the draft that can run block better. And listen, aside from maybe the center position, I might actually, I'd agree with that. But I can assure you, it is not nearly as big of an issue and as what led to the Broncos' lack of run game, more so than the running backs behind it. Now, are they the only ones to blame? No. So I'm going to get into some film. We got some cut-ups here of like Javonte Williams mainly, but really a lot of the running backs are guilty of a lot of this. A lot of it is, yes, they can't allow for these running backs to get into a groove when they're constantly subbing guys in and out. It's a problem. But you also need to be able to have guys that can just take advantage of the opportunities that they're given, and they consistently couldn't do it. And they don't have a running back that's good enough at doing multiple things. You got Jaleel who gives you that juice. I love him. I love his running style. But that's pretty much all he can do. For a small back like that, you got to at least expect to get something out of the run game. Estime was really in the doghouse all year. I think he was just missed assignments, obviously ball security. And then Javonte Williams was called upon a lot because he's a very, very, very good pass protector. And he can actually catch the ball out of the backfield. But that's about it. And so I think this room is due for a complete revamp, a complete overhaul in all sense. So you know what? Let's break down a little bit of film and let's talk about some things. All right. So I'm going to let it run because these clips I took a few days back, and then we're going to break it down. This is obviously against the Panthers. All right, so Javonte gets the ball, and he just basically runs to nowhere. So let's take that back here in a second, and let's go ahead and just take a moment and see. The hesitation is always what kills me. He hesitates here. You look at it here, there's a hole. All you basically are doing right now is seeing where does Josie Jewell go, number 47 there in the middle. And you're going to go the opposite way, right? And he hesitates a lot. I mean, I'd say that's pretty good run blocking. There's even a lane to the left if you cut it all the way out with a little Jordan Humphrey lead blocking. There's a big lane to the right. All you have to do is basically make one guy miss. But he hesitates. He doesn't know where to go. He jump cuts. He ends up making a decision last minute, and it goes for nothing. This is the one that we all remember. The one that probably changed the fate of the season. I mean, luckily we ended up making the playoffs, but this would have been the one that changed the fate of the season because we had a good drive opening week against the Seahawks. Good opening drive. To go down there, get some points after the pick, and that happens. I stopped it a little bit early, so that was my bad. He lost his footing. But, I mean, look at the hole to the right. McGlinchey absolutely erases his guy. Ben Powers has got the dude turned around. All he has to do is make a jump cut. He does it late, by the way. Trips, hits the back of Wattenberg, and gets nothing. So, obviously, that's very frustrating. Oops. Let's go over here. This is against the Steelers. Again, listen, are the holes there? Yes. My issue with Javonte a lot of the season was he was not only not seeing things, or sometimes when he'd see it really late, right? Or he was very hesitant to make the moves. But look, he's got a cutback left. He can even get skinny and go right in between Wattenberg and right in between Quinn Miners. But instead, he hesitates so much. He kind of, shuffles his feet, doesn't really get through the hole quickly enough, and ends up just running up to a wall that ends up ultimately closing down a lot. Let's run this one back here too. This one kills me the most, actually. And you'll obviously be able to see why. But, I mean, look at the point of attack. Wattenberg does a good job. Here comes, you got Miners, which is to the left of Wattenberg in the middle. He's coming to double team. McGlinchey's sealing some things off. And, you've even got Nate Atkins running across the formation for a block. Look at the hole here. He's looking right at it. All he has to do is run forward, and he's getting 10 yards because Quinn Miners got Patrick Queen taken care of, or that might not even be Patrick Queen anymore, but whoever that is, and he's good. Instead, he jump cuts again. He cuts back. He ends up, I think he lost a yard on that play. I mean, unbelievably frustrating, and that's just all over the tape, all over. I tried to get a couple different types of runs between gaps and zones, but it's all over the tape. Here's another one. Again, super hesitation. I get it. This is an outside zone type of a run, right? But just watch what Javonte does. He hesitates. He's slow. Instead of being patient and waiting for the hole to open up, usually you're supposed to kind of jog it and then hit the cutback. The cutback lane, this is a perfect zone blocking scheme. Doubled up between Ben Powers and Luke Wattenberg. Quinn Miners doing his job all the time. He cuts back and goes on the inside of Miners. He's getting big time yards. Instead, there's no cutback. He just kind of runs directly into the guy. And then we're gonna keep it rolling here with a couple of them. Just don't get where that's going, right? Because here's my thing. Yes, you get the ball here. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pause it real quick. You get the ball here. If he's just patient for 1 second, he understands that the linebacker right there is following him. If he just stays patient and cuts back like he used to be able to cut back really quickly his rookie season, he's got the back lane open all day. But even worst case scenario in this situation, he really just has to make a dude miss. One guy miss. And then he kind of loses his balance again, runs right into him. And that is basically the end of that. And then here's this is Jaleel, and there's a couple of these, and I'm actually going to do something really quickly, though, because there was one I wanted to add here with Jaleel. Because even though Jaleel had his fair share of like running into a lot of blockers and stuff, he also had a lot of very great moments when it comes to some things that he had done as well. So we're going to go back over here. So again, you can see amazing blocking. Jaleel is extremely decisive. He cuts back, boom, puts his foot in the dirt, and he's off to the races there. Same kind of ordeal here. Patient, boom, hits the hole. That's exactly how it needs to be run. That little patience of just kind of feeling it and reading it out instead of just being decisive is really the way to run a lot of these zone schemes. Everybody's moving left. The blocking is amazing. Look at the job the offensive line does. And then look at that back, boom, wide open. I mean, easiest stuff all day long. You'll see it. And like I said, you see it a lot more with Jaleel because Jaleel, with, not saying much, but of all the running backs that we had, by far and away had the best vision. There was really no debate there. It wasn't this one. Sorry, let me pull up one more because I'm having fun with this. So thanks for bearing with me in advance. I don't edit my videos for the most part, as y'all know. So we just going to keep rolling. But I think it was this one, actually. This is probably my favorite run of the year. Nope, not that one. That one was terrible. Anyways, I'm going to try to find it here. But the purpose and what I'm really trying to get at when it comes to the Broncos run game as a whole is that you had so many situations where it wasn't that one either. Anyways, we're going to stop it. It was the running, a couple of runs that he had against the Browns. But yeah, sorry about that. Anyways, my purpose is when you look at the offensive line, and I watched a ton of clips of this. I just probably should have been more organized when I saved them. They did such an incredible job getting off of the line against, good and bad defensive lines and really creating a lot of cutbacks, a lot of opportunities for the running back to not only have a lot of, grass in front of them, but also put them in a situation where all you have to do is make one person miss and you're off to the races and you can really break it open. And so many times, Javonte or Estime or Jaleel, they're either losing their footing or they're just not seeing it quickly enough, or they're not able to make that one person miss. And that's where a lot of the frustration really, lies. Of all of the run blockers that we have on our offensive line, the worst one that we have graded, and the worst one that I've seen most of the season was Luke Wattenberg. But even he had a lot of really great moments of brilliance, and the run game just couldn't do anything. And so, one of the most efficient, the best runner that we had on the entire team was our quarterback, something that we can't do, which is why when you talk about, I'm making all these videos about like Ashton Genty and Omarion Hampton and Travion Henderson, Caleb Johnson, we can go down the list. Kyle Monungai is somebody that I love. LaQuinn Allen obviously is my guy. So many of these running backs in the NFL draft, we have to pick up one or maybe even two of them. It is such a deep group. And if that means moving up for Ashton Genty, then give me it. Give me that. Because nothing's going to be able to help Bo Nix and this entire offense for the Denver Broncos more than a solid, strong run game. Especially if we continue to beef up the defense. The defense can continue to be physical and opportunistic like they have shown that they can be, fill in some of the holes there. We can really be a team that's going to be built for prime time. And in those games where, we're not going to just become the most talented team offensively overnight, that is going to be a process. So in that time, the best ways that you can give yourself an opportunity to win is by having a run game you can lean on, being able to control the clock and keep a lot of these games close. When you look at a lot of the blowouts that the Broncos had, right, against the really good teams, right, showing that there's that gap, firstly against like the Ravens or even the Buffalo Bills in the playoff game. There was so many times in that game where the Broncos are in the game. They can make it a really close game if they're able to just convert on short yardage situations or have a little bit more control of the clock via run game. The run game was basically non-existent in those games. And eventually, it was like, boom, the walls came crashing down and the floodgates opened and it was a wrap. So it is time to get ourselves a running back or two that are capable of seeing the hole, hitting it, making guys miss, showing good contact balance. Javonte Williams, I love you, man. I'll always have so much respect for that guy, especially given the kind of injury that he went through. And it sucks because he was amazing as a rookie. But it's time to move on. Jaleel, you're one of the dopest dudes on the team, and I think you could have a role maybe in like special teams or something, or maybe in a situation where you have to play more in a game. But you're not a full-time guy. And Estime, I was always curious about Audric Estime. I really am still intrigued and like to see what he has. But I don't think Sean Payton really cares for the guy much at all, especially after, benching him. And, you can make the argument that the running back that Sean Payton might like the most is Tyler Bidet. And that's not going to be the answer there. And I've beat the dead horse about Blake Watson as much as I can, so we're probably not going to see him. But anyways, Broncos country, let me know what you think. How do we solve this run game? And what running backs do you want to see both in free agency and in the draft to come to your Denver Broncos? So as always, go Broncos, baby. Got a lot of great draft content coming up, so stay tuned for that. And until next time, Y'all spend time with those that you love most, and peace out.